right in. So, right, we are live, by the way.
We are live.
I just pressed the live button.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I could have been doing something embarrassing, man.
You could have. You normally are, to be fair, but not this time.
I could have been picking my bum live on stream.
I don't think you should have said that in the first 10 seconds of the podcast, but...
Why not?
Hi, Timmer.
It's the premier bum picking podcast.
Come on, man.
I don't... on a level, I don't really know what bum picking is.
I mean, it's kind of what it says on the tin, I think.
Why would you pick... Why would you pick your bum?
Why would anyone pick to watch this podcast?
Bum picking enthusiasts, maybe. Connoisseurs, even.
I don't think they exist. I think that's a thing. Actually, it probably is.
No doubt. Okay, well, I'm ready if you are.
I'm ready to go. Yeah. Sooner rather than later.
Let's do this. All right, everyone, welcome to episode 110 of the Quick Resume podcast. Today is quite the day. You know, Starfield is out in the wild. Reviewers have their hands on it. There is a portion of the world playing Starfield right now, and all we can do is sit here and wriggle and writhe, just like the fish that Gollum picks out of the lake with his feet.
Very nice.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's really hard being us right now. So, you know, if you're here, hopefully you're here for comfort, to stop the shaking and all the other symptoms you're currently facing from Starfield denial. Other than that, today we've also got for you a couple of early leaked impressions, Tim. And just to be clear, at the top of the podcast, so we're not going to go over any spoilers today. There's just some things which are circulating at the moment, and it's not like low profile. A couple of major outlets have covered it, so nonetheless, it's in the show. We'll be talking about Xbox's new enforcement system. Tim, you're fucked, mate. It's over for you.
What do you mean?
You're going to get banned. You're going to get banned because Xbox has a new enforcement system.
What do you mean?
And the top rule, the top change is anybody called Tim.
Oh yeah.
And has a podcast called Quick Resume Podcast. Banned.
Seems very specific. Seems like it's targeted at someone in particular.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's quite a few of them. I don't know. I don't make the calls. I'm just, just how it is.
Well, yeah.
There's some extra stuff about Avowed.
That's over for me.
And there's also Tango Studios. One of Xbox first party darlings now. So we've got all of that and more today on the show. My name is Deck, and that handsome chap over there is Tim.
Hello everyone.
We've kind of got the yin yang of caps going on today, haven't we? I'm front facing cap, you're back facing cap.
It's very true. Yeah.
What does it mean?
I don't know. We'll leave that to the watchers to decide. What do you prefer? Front facing caps or back caps? I'm more of a back cap. Do I smell a pole? No, you don't smell a pole. People can just type.
David said, "Why did you mention Gollum from the Hobbit movies?"
He's in more than just the Hobbit, but yeah.
He's also in he's in that really good game, isn't he, that came out this year? Yeah. He should be in Killer Instinct.
He should be. Or just like something more high profile. Imagine if like MK1 just like announced Gollum to the roster.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
What would his fatality be? He just like gets in an argument with himself and splits in half. He self-fatalities.
Yeah. That'd be pretty. What would Gollum's fatality be? Just smash your head in with a rock or something?
Yeah, with a rock. Yeah, exactly. He might try and drown you. Like, if there's a
Fucking
puddle
choke you to
nearby.
death with lambus bread. I don't know.
Yeah. Lamb's bread. Yes, David, I do mean the same Tango that made the ever so beloved Hi-Fi Rush. You'd be correct.
Hi-Fi what? Never heard of it.
Hi-Fi Rush? More like Hi-Fi Trash. Am I right? Not even going to be Game of the Year nominated this year.
No, but to be fair, that's not its fault. It's just this year is ridiculous. Blessed be the year.
Blessed be the year. Yeah, to be fair, it's hard to complain. Although I am firmly in favor of not allowing remakes to be in the main category for Game of the Year.
I'm not. That's Resident Evil still my Game of the Year so far this year, probably.
That's fine. You know, we can have it. It can be in other categories, but I'm of the belief that we shouldn't put it in that one.
Well, your beliefs are stupid.
Not really. It's already a game, isn't it? Do you know what else came out this year? Quake 2 Remastered. That's 92 on OpenCritic at the moment. What are we going to do? Put that in there as well.
It's remastered, not remake deck. Let's not be fucking.
Oh, so that's
chaos.
the line, is it?
It's just chaos, dude.
Yeah. Well, look, we've got stuff to say. Tim, you've got so much stuff to say, haven't you? Go on. Why don't you tell us about all the stuff that you've got to say? There's so much of it. You sent me so many messages
I've got a lot
about stuff you've got to say.
So I got one of the codes to play Starfield.
Nice, man.
Early, yeah. They
Congratulations.
Todd DM'd me it directly, and I didn't read it. I kind of just left him, and then they emailed it. They emailed it as well, and I happened to just be in my emails at that point, so obviously I saw it.
Right.
So I got it from the email. I didn't respond to Todd's DM.
No. What did he say? Out of interest.
He just said, "Here's the code, sweetie. Hope you enjoy." There's a lot of kissy faces, and he said, "Message me back once you get a chance to play it. Let me know if anything you want to change. We're open to a lot of changes." So
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I gotta say, there's a lot I will change.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean, I'm not liking the sound of that. I've got to be honest with you. You know, it's not filling me with a lot of hope.
I mean, I'm just not a big fan of the name Starfield for a start. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you call it? Do you think?
I was thinking of calling it Galaxy Adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, yeah, so I've been playing that most of the week. It's all right. Yeah. I think I'd probably score it a few points.
I don't think you're allowed to say that. No, I'm not sure you're allowed to do that, actually.
What do you mean?
Unless
I can't say it's all right. That's too specific.
No. Yeah, well, you're not allowed to say how you feel about it. You know, it's just unless Todd, of course, gave you specific exemption from the embargo.
Well, he has to, doesn't he? Can't exactly take me down. But yeah, anyway, no, I didn't get fucking Starfield. This bit's I'm done with this bit. No, obviously I didn't. No, I haven't. I don't know. Yeah, Game Brain hasn't been too crazy this week. I've been a little bit sick. I've been sick since I want to say I've been having headaches for a while, but I want to say I really got sick like sort of Thursday evening. And then it just really hit, like splitting headache and sore throat and all that kind of stuff. So I've been getting over that. And yeah, I played cricket yesterday on nothing but lemsips in my belly for the last 24 hours. So that was good. That was fun. Acid. But it was, it's good though, because I feel like it took my mind off it for a start. I wasn't just sitting around thinking about how I'm ill. And it also helps sort of like sweat it out as well, which is quite good when you're ill to just get it out of your system. But yeah, game brain wise, Remnant, we've been playing some Remnant. We started a new campaign on the Nightmare difficulty, and we're going through that. It's been a great time. Still loving Remnant. What else have I? Yeah, shit is hard. Yeah, it's really difficult. And what else have I been playing? I have booted into Final Fantasy 16 again recently because I want to complete that before Starfield. That's kind of my goal. So I'm a decent chunk through it. I don't think I've got a decent amount left, but I think I'm over the halfway point. So I wouldn't mind finishing that up in the couple weeks leading to Starfield. And I think that's about it from me in terms of actual gaming this week. It hasn't been too much outside of the Remnant games. So yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah, I've been fairly quiet on my end as well. Just a bit of Remnant here and there, and just a bit of Hogwarts here and there. I am still like, I like Hogwarts, but I'm like a 7.5 at the moment. I just think the quest design in that game is fucking bonkers. They really just lost their minds, in my opinion. It's one of those games where like there's a main quest, but you have to do 60 chores for 70 different people to get to the next quest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so objective, get to the next trial. Great. Okay, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And then it's like, okay, so to get to the next trial, you need Wingardium Leviosa. Okay, great. I'd love to do that. How do I get Wingardium Leviosa? Okay, so you've got to get a Mandrake. Okay, great. So I've got to plant my own Mandrake and I've got to get that and I've got to use it on multiple enemies at once. Bit weird. Okay, but fine. I'll do that. And then you've got to get this venomous plant. How do you do that? Oh, no worries. I'll just buy the seeds, put it in my plant pot in the room of requirement. No biggie. Oh, wait. It doesn't require just a small pot. It requires a large pot. How much does a large pot cost? $2,000. Okay, let me just run errands for 6 fucking hours, pick that up, plant the plant, wait for it to grow in real time, fucking pick it up, take it over, kill someone with it. Now I can get Wingardium Leviosa. Now I can open the fucking door. Now I can do the quest. That's like the string of events that's been happening with the quest design in this, and it's been I think it's a bit of a weird one for someone who just wants to enjoy the main story, because the game has loads of stuff in it, like so much stuff in it, and at times it just forces you to engage with all of it. It's like you are going to build a room of requirement and you are going to go in there and you will tend to the animals, you will clean up their shit, you will feed them, and it's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and you will do the herbology class, and you will do this, and it does. And I get why they've done it, because they want to create the whole you're a student kind of fantasy at Hogwarts.
Yeah,
go to the classes, all that sort of thing. People love that, but I do. Yeah, there's definitely a way they could have done it better without forcing you into it, because some people just won't give a shit about going to a herbology class or petting a fucking animal or something like that, you know, where some people will love it. So, you have to find a way to cater for the general a little bit more. And I definitely feel like when they were designing that, they were catering more for the hardcore fans that genuinely want to live a life as a student at Hogwarts, sort of thing. More than just general people picking up the game, like you said, just want to go through the main quest. But I definitely had those moments as well a few times in the game. I didn't find it quite as frustrating, and I think that's because I had a bit of a shared experience with my partner playing it, so she did most of that stuff. But like, it's tedious. Some of it is quite tedious.
Yeah, and like you're right, it's like if you wanted a wizard simulator, a Hogwarts simulator, like lovely, this has really done the job. But if you just want to enjoy a story told in the Hogwarts world, this can get a bit frustrating because there's so much busy work. They'd say it's like, oh, you want to do the next quest? You got to go find a spider leg, and then you got to stir a pot of soup with it, and then you got to feed that soup to a goblin, and then that goblin will grow wings, and he'll fly to the top of a mountain. It's just, I let me go to the next quest.
Yeah,
I can see her. I can see Professor Weasley. Let me speak to her.
You can't, mate. You can't until you have Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, I need Alohomora. It's like, why? Just let me speak to you.
She won't even fucking spit in your direction until you learn that specific spell. You're nothing to her. You're dirt.
So that's how it feels. But it's I'm still having a good time with it. I just think that the quest design is a bit It's a bit wonky, in my opinion, but
agreed.
That's just me. Agreed. All right. Well, it's a fairly relaxed show. I'd say for the most part, it's been a quiet news week. So, as I said at the top of the show, the big thing here really is that Starfield has released. No, it has not released. It's with reviewers. You okay over there? You're making small noises.
No, I clicked on the notes and you disappeared from the thing, but you're back. Don't worry.
Phew. Well, I was talking and all I could hear was, oh.
Yeah, you just vanished. I fixed it.
Oh, no.
Don't worry.
Okay. But before we get into the Starfield stuff, of which there were some official blog posts from the team of Bethesda, from which there have been some insider talks, and of which there has been some drama about maybe a game's menu screen, Tim. Maybe some people have seen a menu screen and decided that the game sucks because of the menu screen. Maybe that's happened. Maybe it hasn't. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to just get into it, knee deep to really make that cool. First, the Xbox 360 store is shutting down. Did you catch this? Why have I put? Oh my god!
Imagine if turtles had big ears.
That's just like 3 a.m. delirium. I don't know why I typed that.
What the fuck is that? All right. No, I didn't catch wind of this Xbox 360 store thing. I'm guessing a lot of people are pretty up in arms about this. This is quite a thing, isn't there, about sort of shutting down like legacy titles and stores and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, is that because most of it's just going to become, or is already, sort of backwards compatible?
Well, yeah, this is part of the argument. I mean, they've stopped doing backwards compatibility titles. They haven't done any in ages. They said that they weren't going to do any more in the last batch, whenever it was in 2021. And so, yeah, the problem here. So obviously, it's great that Xbox did the backwards compatibility. The number I saw floating around was about 29%, so maybe 30% of the total 360 library was made backwards compatible. So that leaves 70% of the games that that were on the store won't be purchasable anymore. You won't lose access to the games you already own. If you already own them on the 360, or if they're backwards compatible, they're not going anywhere. You'll still own them. You just won't be able to buy them. So that's the gist of it. So with that extra sprinkle of information, what's your thinking on that? What's your opinion? What's your perspective?
I mean, personally, I don't have too much of an issue with it, because I think eventually, this time's got to come, right? Eventually. I do think like the 360 genre wasn't like that long ago, like that sort of era, but like it's gonna happen eventually, right? And you can't preserve these things indefinitely. And yeah, whatever you have, you still keep. A decent amount, especially for the popular ones, and the things you'll probably most likely go back to anyway if you wanted to, are backwards compat already. I don't see too much of an issue with it, but I do understand that just getting rid of these things is not preferable. People do want to hold on to all this sort of stuff and have it be obtainable at any point. But yeah, personally, I'm not really too fussed about it.
Yeah, I do feel similarly, and I imagine Xbox knows that most people feel similarly. Otherwise, they would keep it open so they could keep making money. However, as it always is with these things, it's always a PR problem. You might remember PlayStation did the same thing, I think, last year, and it was particularly egregious. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was like PSP games, PS2 games, and maybe even PS3 games were being delisted. I don't know if it functioned the same way, but obviously they don't have backwards compatibility in the same way Xbox does. So it was particularly bad. And after enough internet bullying, they changed it to keep it open. I don't know how much longer that'll last for, but that happened. So there is still the sentiment, and I think that was maybe last year. I suppose one of the big problems here is that Xbox has all this really good tech with backwards compatibility. They finally cracked it and they just aren't using it. They kind of just stopped. They did all the big stuff, which is great. But, I think if they could do one final push to close out this decision, I think it would go a long way to helping people be okay with it. Like, it could still be purchased through your Xbox One or your Xbox Series S and X store because they're backwards compatible.
Yeah.
So there is that, and there is also this thing. Xbox has this kind of messaging around game preservation. Phil has said it multiple times. So it feels a bit of a spit in the face to then turn around and pull something like this. I'm with you. Like, we can't keep these things going indefinitely. I mean, can we? Maybe someone knows better than I do. It doesn't feel like that's possible unless we're talking physical copies, in which case they'll still work. I feel like this is, I guess it is a bit to do with the transition of moving into the digital age, isn't it? Like, some people still haven't clocked on that it's not quite the same when you buy a digital game, or when stuff is available digitally. There is usually a time limit on that, a big time limit, but there is usually one. We're talking like 25 years by the time from the beginning of the 360 gen to now. A quarter of a century. So yeah, no, I get both sides here. I just think it's kind of a bit of contradictory messaging from Xbox a little bit.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. Yeah, it's gonna rub people up the wrong way, and especially when like you said, we've gone. Xbox have gone in the past to say how much they care about these legacy titles and backwards compatibility and preserving all this, and then just to do that. Yeah, I can see why people will be a bit confused as they're just taking like a U-turn on kind of what they were talking about like a few years back. But and I do remember, I think when this topic came up with PlayStation, I do remember I don't think we went off on them, but we definitely agreed with the consensus of you should keep these things going if you can. But like you said, I think that's because PlayStation didn't have any form of other backwards compatibility, so there's literally no way you can access these titles like ever again. Whereas I feel like a large amount of the ones you'd want to access anyway might already be in your backwards compatibility list, because they made those lists based off like popularity and sales and the games people would genuinely go back to, sort of thing. But obviously everyone has different gaming tastes. Yeah, it's a sort of decision which is going to rub some people up the wrong way, but unfortunately I think they're just in the minority compared to the people that will just be okay with it and the sort of situation that Xbox are in. So yeah, I feel like that's what it came down to when they made their decision. So
yeah, and money.
Yeah. The money.
That one. So yeah, ultimately, it is what it is. They did pretty well. I hope that they do keep this up to a degree, because there were, especially when backwards compatibility was rolling out, there were a handful of games that I did play. I can't remember if I bought them, if I'd already owned them, but like I played Red Dead 1 after completing Red Dead 2 through backwards compatibility. I played Alan Wake as well through backwards compatibility. I think there was a couple of others, but those are the two that stick out that I got the opportunity to play that I wouldn't have otherwise if Xbox didn't have this kind of mantra about preservation and compatibility. So I hope this isn't a sign that they're slipping into the abyss. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's the sort of like you said, the backwards compatibility sort of tech and the way we've done it is there. So maybe it is something that they'll revisit later down the line. When Xbox starts to jump up a bit. I don't know. They start to with all the first party games and hardware sales maybe get better, all that sort of stuff. They got a bit more income, they got a bit more stuff to play around with. They're like, hey, remember that decision where we took off all the Xbox 360 games? Yeah, let's try and get the majority of these back on backwards compat. And it'll be a good PR hit later down the line if they ever need it. It's not to say it's dead and gone. These things you know, they probably can revisit it as and when the time comes. So
yeah, I think so. Okay, well, that's the 360 store shutting down. So moving into kind of the main story today, I figured we'd start with the big boy. There's no way around it. Where we're priming for launch day. You know, the jets are warm.
mm-hmm.
We put diesel in the rocket.
Yeah,
giving it slick coat of paint.
Ooh,
We put
lovely.
a little fluffy little dinosaur on the top of the rocket.
Of course, I like it. We're ready for launch.
We're ready for launch. We are ready for launch. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Bearing in mind, early access is reviews drop on the 31st of August, right?
Mm-hmm.
Embargo lifts 31st of August. That's 11 days. So that is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
As of today on Sunday the 20th. And then early access, no, that's not right. No, next Thursday. And then early access, the game comes out on Friday, depending on where you are in the world. You know, Friday night, I think for us it's 1 a.m.
Great.
So we're damn close. We're under 2 weeks, really.
Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling, Tim? Are we seeing this? Are we feeling it? Are we not quite there?
I wasn't quite there, and I don't think I'm still quite there, to be honest. It doesn't feel as close as it actually is. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. But I have started to see just more things pop up with like with like it, you know, entering the wild a little bit and stuff like that. I have seen, you know, people like on like my social media, it's just like scrolling and stuff like that. You know, there are snippets of like Starfield from when they did the showcase and all that, little bite-sized bits. There's like new information. I remember this morning I saw some like gunplay with like an SMG or something. Was like he's going around and shooting people indoors and stuff like that. And yeah, it was different to what I've seen before. I don't know. I don't know where that footage
There
came
shouldn't
from.
be. There shouldn't be.
Okay.
Nobody's allowed to share anything unless you did see something leaked. But I haven't
Yeah,
seen
but
anything, and I'm
maybe it was just something
following
for
it.
the really long showcase that was obviously
It's really
very
long.
long and a lot
Yeah.
of gameplay in it. But yeah, just little things like that have started to, you know, make me get really excited for it, you know, and it made me think back to like the showcase and everything leading up to it. And, you know, like I was thinking like when I boot up the game and I'm creating my character and I'm picking his background and his skill sets and all that kind of shit. And I was starting to get really like my heart started beating a little fast, and I was like, oh yeah, like
It's
I'm
gonna
getting
be
ready for
good.
this. Yeah, but like I have to say, until recently, you know, it's kind of considering how close it is. It doesn't really feel like it's being pushed out there too much right now. But it's definitely on the rise for me. Like my excitement is there, and it's yeah. But that's about where I am with it, I think.
Hell yeah. So, I mean, because we spoke about this in previous weeks, haven't we, about marketing? And, you know, I've got to say, I've started seeing it pop up on YouTube ads, you know, a bit more all over the place. And there's also a lot of chatter. The game has been trending for about a week now on Twitter, and I'm sure other social media as well. The game is currently number 3 most purchased game on Steam, and it's not out yet. It's still 2 weeks out, you know, just under 2 weeks, about 10 or 11 days.
Yeah.
You know, so that bodes very, very well for the word of mouth that the game is getting, you know, because I'm sure after it's launched, the game will continue to stay quite high, presumably number 1, if it reviews well. So interesting, because I imagine there are quite a lot of people who are in a similar position to you where they're starting to feel it, but when we get into the final week, the final 4 sort of days, then we'll be in overdrive. We've got a reasonably long sort of section on Starfield here, Tim. I was just wondering, do you want to maybe put the direct on and run it in the background?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I can do.
Run that B-roll. Really get me immersed, really soak me in to the Todd father, you know.
Of course.
So, with that in mind, I think it's a very, very sneaky little maneuver that they've pulled with having the embargo lifted one day before early access, because I mean I think they know they've got a hit firstly, but secondly that means if the game does review well, whatever your parameters for well are, reviews well are, there's going to be a lot of people, including myself, who are going to impulse buy for the early access coming out the next day.
Yes.
And to my knowledge, this is the first time that Xbox has done this early access thing, in the sense that you can buy a cheap edition. And I only just found this out, actually. I hadn't realized before, but the premium upgrade that you can get to complement Game Pass comes with the first DLC, some skins, and a couple of other stuff as well. So it comes with the DLC, so you're not just paying 30 quid for the early access. It's also coming with what's presumably a 15-20 quid DLC. So it feels less like I'm being swindled, because there's a lot of other games that come to Game Pass but don't have any other upgrade options other than just to buy the full price game. And so I can't justify that. But if you're going to give it to me for 30, throw in the first DLC, throw in a couple of other extra things, that's sounding
it's
a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, it's a little bit more incentive. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially when at that point, like you said, reviews are gonna have hit, right, and your excitement is either gonna skyrocket or plummet. Whatever the reviews are, but 100%. It's definitely something I can see myself doing as well. Especially as that early access will be, on a Friday, so we can hit it up on a weekend. That sort of thing. Because I know, like many others, who have probably booked some time off for Starfield. We've done that for the I've got the Thursday and Friday because it releases on a Wednesday, but it's not quite the same as getting it on like a Friday evening, and be able to play it late into the early hours of the morning, and then Saturday and Sunday and all that kind of stuff.
Full
that's that is, like you said, even without the incentive, like you were saying, like it's just that and then the game. Like I still think it would be quite close for me to actually still be wanting to invest in that. But yeah, with them throwing in some other stuff as well, it's definitely an appealing package for sure.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that Bethesda game, but BGS have always done very good DLC for their mainline games.
They have,
Fallout 4 Far Harbor is considered really, really good. Obviously, Skyrim ones were great. Dragonborn, and then Oblivion, Shivering Isles. It goes on and on. So it doesn't hurt either. And the first DLC I think is called Shattered Space. So that's kind of the timeline of what we're looking at. I'm really. I mean, the thing is, we've got another week, so I don't want to get too into the weeds of like what do we think. But I've said it before. I'm just really rooting for the game to crack 90s. And my predicted range is somewhere from 88 to 92, because I don't see how it could score less than Fallout 4. Because we already know at face value that Starfield has addressed a lot of the criticism that people had for Fallout 4. So from there, it's an improvement. It's probably bigger. It's probably performing better and bug-free. Well, not bug-free, but by Bethesda standards, it's probably the least buggy game they've ever released because of the polish the time and they've had, and there's the engine upgrade. For all of those reasons, I just can't see it scoring less than or equal to Fallout. So that's my thinking. 88 to 92. Have your thoughts changed on that at all?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No, I mean, I think you're right. Just as you break it down like that, I feel like the game, for what it is and what we've seen and the potential it has and everything, unless this thing really shits the bed with its launch in terms of performance, it's not locked at 30 and it's dipping and it's quite inconsistent, it's buggy, which have like we said, Bethesda games do get that at launch sometimes. That sort of thing. Unless it really doesn't hit well straight out of the gate. I do think that great an ad. That this is probably going to break the 90s. I do think it's the sort of game where I think it's only going to scrape the 90s because as toxic as it sounds, I do think there's just going to be the Xbox tax on it. Like, I do just think that even if the game's like a 93 or a 94, I think it will settle like a 90 or like an 89 or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me being bitter from things in the past and conspiracy theories. But yeah, I'm totally with you. I think the game will. My prediction is it's just going to be a bang on 90. I think. But I definitely feel like as we're approaching the sort of the release of it and we're getting closer and closer, my confidence is kind of only getting higher in the game. I don't feel like it's dipping. I don't feel like I'm as nervous as I was for this to be a banger as I was a couple months ago. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a high 80s to a 90 game. So yeah, that's about where I am with it. But yeah, I'm thinking bang on 90. It'd be interesting to think what everyone else's predictions are in the chat. Feel free to slap your number in there and state the reason why you think. You think it's going to break 90? You think it's high 80s? What do you think?
Or do you think it's a 59?
Yeah, do you think we're going to have another Redfall in our hands?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've watched this direct 3 times now. And every time I come away, like, I go in like, I don't know, what if it's not how I remember it? And then I come away from it like, nah. that was amazing. Unless they're very intentionally hiding something from us, which is perfectly possible. Like Cyberpunk had a really good gameplay preview, I remember. But that the biggest problem with that was performance. Some of the features that were in that demo weren't in the full game. Whereas we kind of got a lot of gameplay here. It's harder to see that it would be hidden and disguised. Not impossible, but it doesn't feel that way.
It's still slice gameplay.
No, it is. It is.
We haven't seen like a full mission run through or anything like that. So, you never know. You never know. And yeah, you're totally right with Cyberpunk. I mean, Cyberpunk, there was a good game there. The gameplay was great and the story was cool and stuff like that. But like, what solely let it down was just its performance. And that got it absolutely slated. And being a Bethesda, a BGS game, there's a very real chance that it could launch with some performance issues. And if something like that happened with Cyberpunk, it can happen with this, especially on the sort of scale they're going for with this game.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to get a sense of it though, like Cyberpunk. It was like you say, you're absolutely right. It was criticized quite heavily for its performance issues on the last gen software, particularly. It was a bit buggy even on all software, but there was hardware. Sorry, but there was people did feel that there was some features that were stripped back. Or not present in the game. I think one of them was the law system. It was a bit watered down, but nonetheless, still at launch on PC, it scored an 86.
Yeah.
And that I think bodes well for Starfield. If you consider all the extra time this team has had to polish this game and what we're going to speak about a bit later as well, doesn't appear to be too buggy. So we'll have to see. And as well, I'm even thinking about just Baldur's Gate. Widely reported that the game, especially in the second half, is quite buggy. Nothing game breaking, but annoying at times. Is blocking progress, does require a restart. And the game's getting 10 out of 10 across the board. Even the IGN review went up yesterday and they gave a 10. And in the review, they said, we got quite a few bugs, mild to moderate. Nothing game breaking, but it was annoying. Still a 10. I think for the most part, outlets are willing to overlook bugs. Hopefully that remains the case here and not just because it's Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be quite interesting because I feel like you could bring up these examples and be like, well, you let these games off, having bugs and stuff like that. If the bugs are obviously on a similar scale to those other games, of course. If Starfield does have some actual game breaking bugs, then yes, you're going to have to penalize it for it. But yeah, if it's on a similar sort of scale and stuff like that, then yeah, you'd be like, well, it's interesting that you you bumped it down a few, but you didn't for boulders and stuff like that. Yeah,
highly interesting.
but I have faith. I has faith.
I have faith. I've got an increasing gauge of faith. So I'll tell you what, while we're on this topic, let's stay on this vein before we go into the timeline that Bethesda themselves published, the narrative around what happened before the start of the game. So a couple of things. So this is like, if you want to go in like totally blind, if you're still here and you don't want to hear anything from any of the insiders, again, we're not touching any spoilers. This is just like what they have heard other people think of the game who have play tested it. That's all it is. So it's like insider impressions. That's all I'm covering here.
Mm-hmm.
But just so you're aware, maybe some of you don't want to hear about any of that either. So first batch from well-known leaker over on Reset Era from Nate Drake. I remember being told many months ago that Starfield was looking to be, in all caps, the RPG we have all been waiting for from Bethesda. Soon we'll see if such high praise and hype statement is true. He also said, I've yet to hear anything bad about the game, and this dates back to last year. Could be some honeymoon high impressions, of course.
Okay.
Sounding pretty good. We're not done. Mm-hmm. This came from just the other day when review codes went out. I don't think I'm going to say his name, but if you know the story, then you know what I'm talking about. This person is known for breaking NDAs at times. Definitely has a code. And he says, I've got to say, it starts slow. It seems like it has so much to introduce to the player that it doesn't want to overwhelm. Unfortunately, it's still overwhelmed just because of the vast number of systems and choices at the player's disposal. However, it does its best, but the few opening hours are a bit weird. However, once you get to the main story, it gets very good. It's mind-blowing how good the game looks for it being a creation engine. Also, 15 hours in and not a single bug. And this is quite funny. Somebody in the chat, he was posting this on Discord, and somebody in the Discord said, I'm cancelling my pre-order. I didn't buy a Bethesda game to not have any bugs.
That's hilarious.
So he doubled down and said, yep, I'm serious, not a single bug 15 hours in. And he says, just to close out, I'll get into it in my review. This game is something, I'll tell you. This game is something, I'll tell you. And that's all we know. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting, and I mean, based on what he's saying as well, I can see all of that being the case too, because I can imagine this game being quite a slug and a bit of a slow burn to start with. I feel like most sort of Bethesda game studios RPGs are like Skyrim. Like no one enjoys the beginning of Skyrim, like the Hierarchar and all that kind of stuff, like it was kind of okay the first time. It still wasn't mind-blowing. And I feel like Fallout's the same. They all start off kind of slow and kind of like this, but like this is obviously the biggest one yet, with the most systems, the most shit to play around with, the most creativity, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it seems like rather than taking the approach of just bombarding you, Bombarda, that they just...
That?
You've not got the Bombarda spell yet in Harry Potter?
I don't think so.
Oh, no. Spoilers.
I've got Confringo.
Oh, no. Bombarda's fucking...
I just blow up.
Bombarda's the goat, dude.
All right.
But, instead of doing that, then obviously they're choosing to just give it to you over, like, I don't know, like 6 hours of, like, game time. Just introducing you to things very, very slowly, that sort of thing, rather than giving you like a 2-hour tutorial and fucking cramming it with like massive paragraphs of text and this, that, and all that kind of stuff. I, being the sort of player I am, I think I would prefer it the way that it sounds like they might be doing it, the slow burn, do it over a long period of time, and play around with the mechanics slower and as you learn them, sort of thing, because I feel like you would lose me after a while if you just start throwing paragraphs of text at me and making me go through menus and making me do this and giving it to me like too quickly, sort of thing. I feel like, but I can definitely see that being the case with this game, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. If I wasn't overwhelmed by a Bethesda Game Studios game in the first few hours, I'd be a bit disappointed.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what open world AAA game have you played in the last 5 years that didn't feel a bit overwhelming at the beginning? You know,
That's true.
Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, Assassin's Creed. You know, they have a lot of interlocking systems that they want to introduce early, so they don't keep giving them to you as you go ahead, or you don't understand. But I get it. There's a lot that we've seen about the game so far. Whether it's like, here are your traits, here are your companions, here's your ship, here's your crafting, here's base building. I don't think it's surprising that coming away after 4 hours, you're kind of a bit like gasping for air. But hopefully it's paced okay. But it overall, I think it's the takeaway here is that it's sounding really good. The bit at the end, this game is something, I'll tell you, looks really, really good. I mean, we know that from the direct. And no bugs. I think that bodes really, really well for how good the game is, and also, possible scores, how it reviews.
Definitely.
So, the back end of this conversation then is the drama about the Starfield main menu. You can see it in the notes, Tim. It's the thumbnail of the video. Actually, I removed all the HUD elements. Apparently, this is drama stirred up by one particular person on Twitter, who again I'm not going to name. If you know, they're an ex-dev, and for some reason they really appear to just hate everything Xbox does. That's how it appears anyway. And they sort of went out their way to say, the start screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work. Starfield's start screen either shows how hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked, or a team that didn't care. Some pretty deep analysis.
Jesus Christ. Right? I don't think you could get that much from a start screen. I mean, they probably...
it's a single frame as well.
Yeah. They were probably just like, it's just a start screen. Like, at the end of the day, if there's a basic start screen, but a magnificent game underneath it, I don't care.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not even that basic as well. From what this looks like, it's going to be a moving screen to me.
Yeah, it looks like that. Like flare is going to move around and stuff like that, and it looks pretty.
And all of Bethesda's start screens are pretty minimalistic. Do you remember Skyrim? It's literally just black fog and then the little dragon diamond shape. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's stupid. Like that shows no reflection on the game. I don't know. And I mean, sure, yeah, it does look a bit basic, but like,
it's just minimal. Yeah, it's minimal by design.
Yeah, it doesn't. It literally makes no sense. There's no way you can determine how a game sort of feels based off that. Like, that's the weirdest shit I've ever fucking heard. I don't know.
That's from an ex-dev as well, so it's like such a peculiar take. I mean, that's not to say that a start screen couldn't be reflective of something, but it's just such a weird interpretation to voice publicly and to try and come on from a place of authority. I don't know. Like I said, this is someone who's like regularly posting about something Xbox is doing and how they don't like it. So it's just a pattern of bad behavior at this point. Yeah, dumb. Really dumb drama. But thankfully, most of the internet seems to be in agreement that it's a stupid, shitty take.
Yeah, it's legit. I wouldn't even give this a second glance. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in our closing parts about Starfield, then, is the timeline that was officially posted by Bethesda Game Studios last week. They gave a bit of a timeline in sort of the 300-year run-up to where the game starts. I'm not going to go over a year, over every sort of note, but just to give a general idea.
Let me get it on
humans. Oh yeah, sure. It's really small, so it might be a bit hard, but you can get.
It's all right. I'll zoom in. I'll scroll down a little bit.
Sure. So humans first arrive on Mars by 2100, and humans are living in space. Um, I always forget. I know they've spoken about it being this kind of NASA punk and not tier two far future, but um, this kind of reminded me. Oh yeah, so like the beginning of this whole thing was it's like 70 years in the future. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of, and it almost feels a bit of alternate. It's got an alternate history vibe to it, which kind of Fallout does, which I quite like. So by 2100, humans are living in space. Um, and then 6 years later, humans arrive in a different solar system, 4.3 light years away from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then stuff starts to happen. There's like different factions arrive. People start having colonies. Start representing this solar system. Colonies start representing this planet. And they start clashing basically, and this kind of goes back and forth for a while until Constellation starts, and Constellation is kind of the cast of characters who are looking for what the artifacts are and what they mean and what's going on out here, and that's the group that we join in the game. And then 2330 is when Starfield begins. So really, it's about 200 years. Humans have been occupying space for about 200 years. Not all that long, really, from when Starfield begins. So what's kind of your thoughts on that with that additional bit of context, thinking about the game and going into the game?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. I mean, I haven't really read it in depth, but yeah, I mean based on that, it's nice to know a little bit of sort of knowledge behind the world, right? And behind sort of getting an idea of time frames and everything like that, what's happened previously. I mean, I feel like all of that I could have kind of apart from the exact dates, I could have kind of picked up on it, like anyway, right? You become this character, you
Sure.
join this is your goal, you're researching the artifacts, all that kind of stuff, like we know there's factions, we know there's going to be opposing factions, we know that factions generally have territories and all that kind of stuff. You don't need that to be put on paper to understand, but yeah, no, it's cool, and there's definitely some legs to go with this. Like there's quite a lot of different stories you can tell, with all the different factions and stuff like that. And I'm sure you can join each and every one of them and go through like their own little mini sort of campaign similar to the factions in other BGS games. Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool bit of like world building and little knowledge to give to the players to give a sort of indication of what's happened and yeah, where you pick up from. I think it's neat.
Yeah. So, like I said, to me, the biggest sort of takeaway out of all of it, I mean, like the politics and the drama that goes on in the meantime is very, very cool, and it gives a nice bit of context to the wars and the tension between the different factions. But to me, I just kind of like the setting that is like, oh, we've only been occupying space for about 200 years. We've had people living out here, but it's
Very
only been
new
really
to it.
200 years.
Yeah.
If you think about the progress that we made from the 1800s to now, quite a lot, but it's just an interesting kind of time frame of like how far ahead are we, and it's like not that much, and I just think that's a really interesting slice of time to be in for fiction.
Definitely. Yeah.
Did I have anything else to add there? I don't think I did have anything else to add. I've just been distracted by some notification on Twitter that the guy who was making fun of the menu screen.
Is he
Pete
seeing our
Hines,
podcast live?
Yeah, that must be AA's. I'm sorry, these guys really cooked me. Personal apology. No, Pete Hines has responded, who's the community or the marketing director, I can't remember, is one of the two over at Bethesda, and said, they designed what they wanted, and that's been our menu for years, and was one of the first things we settled on. Having opinion is one thing, questioning out a developer's care because you would have it done differently is highly unprofessional coming from another quote unquote dev.
Oh, the quote unquote. Oh,
I don't think he is a current dev. It's a bit of an enigma over what he is. He has worked on World of Warcraft. He has worked on Diablo 2, but he doesn't appear to be. He doesn't have a name for what he's doing currently. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, get fucking roasted by Pete.
Yeah,
Papa Pete.
I agree. Stupid.
Stupid. Okay, well that's Starfield. We'll revisit. We've got one more week to talk about Starfield in this release window, but it's special. This is a special time. Bethesda games are BGS games, I should say. They're like events. They don't come around often. They're very unique in their scope and what they do. And this one is going to be day one Game Pass. It's going to represent Xbox as a brand. And I think if it delivers, if it does crack that 90, I mean, ultimately, I don't think it matters that much if it cracks the 90s. I just think it gives it a little extra push. But if it performs well, I think the game's going to really have a big impact on Xbox as a brand. I really think it's going to be a must-have game. I'm seeing it all over the place. Just bought on Xbox. So we won't get pre-release hype sections like this very often. Even when we come to like a Hellblade and Avowed, those are going to be great and big and exciting personally for us. But for the brand, the next time we have something like this, I don't even know when it will be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Maybe an Indiana Jones,
or like maybe the next Gears installment, but I still don't even think that. And like you could argue like the next like the Halo Infinite was quite monumental to Xbox as a launch as well. Yeah.
It was big.
But yeah, it's basically things like that. It's your Halos and it's your BGSs and stuff like that. These are the sort of games that they really don't come around often. And they're kind of a big deal for the platform. So props to the crew, and hopefully it's great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, the other thing is Elder Scrolls, whenever that's coming. But
that'll be
it's
one.
allow yourselves to be excited. This doesn't happen often. Say goodbye to your family. Or get what you get done what you need to now.
Buy your rations.
I can just see. Yeah, that's right. Rations, Mountain Dew, mini fridge. You know what to do. You know the drill. Mark the Narc in chat. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome to the stream. Hi. We were promised jetpacks and flying cars by the year 2000. The timeline seems a bit optimistic. It's funny.
You don't have a flying car?
It does.
Mark.
Yeah. Did you not have a jetpack?
They don't have flying cars where you are. Interesting.
Yeah, if you watch like the end of the podcast, which nobody ever does, because of course, why would you? You click off as soon as we start winding down. Me and Tim we don't walk out we float off our chairs and we float out the door.
It's true.
Let's keep an eye out. I'm just saying.
It's true. Yeah.
We are Starfield. Okay. So story number 2, Tim, is I'm so zoomed in I can't see what's going on in my notes. Okay, there we go. Is Xbox's new enforcement system. Here we go. So I assume you didn't hear anything about this then?
No. Nada.
Well, Xbox has a new enforcement system. So the way it works is that you have 8 lives. Think of them as lives, except those lives get taken up by like racism and like hate speech and sending nude photos and stuff like dick pics and stuff like that.
Of course.
There are different levels from what can different types of offences cause different levels of strikes. I think, for example, hate speech is 3. Certain levels of profanity can be 1. If you're using it against someone, presumably. And I think I'm really annoyed because I've got this really good graphic here that they put out, but I've copied it to my notes and it's in really poor quality. But I think it was on a 6-month basis. Like you lose a strike every 6 months. And if you get all 8, for every strike you get a small ban. The first one being just a couple of days. I think it's just 1 day. If you get all 8 strikes, it's a year ban.
Okay. A year ban. Jesus.
A year ban. I mean, you've got to be working pretty hard over time to get 8 strikes in a 6-month period. Really getting all your hate speech out there, all your slurs. You've really got to be just banging them out. You change your name to something incredibly offensive. But so yes, it does feel a bit more punishing, and it does feel like there's a bit more clarity because, like, technically things like profanity have always been against the terms of service, but it's never kind of been clear. But this now is a bit clearer. I just hope that they're careful with some of these things. Like, I don't want some person banning me because I said shit when I was in a Rocket League lobby. I think that's very different from me being online and telling me to suck a shit or telling someone to suck a shit. There's context.
Yeah,
it's not automated. They're all it's all moderated. So, but yeah, that's the gist of it. What do you think?
So I got the graph up in better detail and shared it to the screen. So yes, you got examples. Yeah, profanity is +1, cheating is +1, sexually inappropriate is +2, harassment or bullying is +2, and hate speech is +3. And then the strike system is 1 strike is a day, 2 strikes is a day, 3 is 3 days, 4 is 7 days, 5 is 14, 6 is 21, 7 is 60, and then the big 8 is the full year. So essentially it just progressively, like, the first couple strikes is really not that bad, but it's good that it's still that initial, because what I was worried about is they might just mark you down, but you still just carry on. But like I think it's good that they still got that initial short ban, like right off the bat, because I do feel like if something like that happens, it is good to just straight up punish people. I get what you mean though, because like profanity is obviously one, and then obviously that will ban you for a day. And like you said, if you just type something stupid in Rocket League, or something like that, and then you get reported for that, to get banned for a day on something like that can be a bit harsh. But it kind of depends. I mean, it depends on how they review it, right? And how they go by all these things, because obviously it's going to have to go through a review process. Whether that review process is done through, well, it will be done through machine, won't it, and keywords and all that kind of stuff. So, likelihood is if you swore and typed something stupid in Rocket League and someone was salty enough to report it, that would result in a day ban for you. I mean, I'm with it. I think it's good. I think it's nice, because I was always very unclear on the Xbox ban process, because I know that there was like an instant one, right, where you can get like instantly just banned and taken off. Then you can get banned from like online services, and then I know that they can just straight up just lock your account just completely, and like your it wasn't like IP address related or anything, was it? Like you couldn't like sign into it. But
I don't think so. Yeah.
But like I was very unclear at what stages that happened anyway. Like at what stage does my account just get perma banned? I don't know. They were very unclear about it, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's good that they just put it all out. It's clear, and you kind of understand where it's coming from. Not that I'll be towing the line in any way, but it's nice to just have a bit of clarity.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm fine.
You should hear what he calls me over the microphone.
Yeah, it's you. We're in a pie. What's the problem?
What does that mean?
Are you going to report
I don't have feelings? No.
No, you don't have feelings.
Probably not.
I'm very nice.
Like I'm some sort of cockroach. Some sort of fucking clump of gum on the floor.
You are.
With those little sticky on eyes, with the black eyes that move around.
Googly eyes.
Googly eyes, that's what they're fucking called, isn't it? Chewing gum with googly eyes.
Yeah, that's you. That's actually a very good representation of you in my brain.
Reporting you.
Yeah. We're not on Xbox. God. But yeah, it's fine. I'm happy with it. I don't really have any beef with it. It is what it is.
No, right. No. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it was interesting what you were saying before about the first strike coming through, because I think they said on their blog, I might be remembering it from somewhere else, but then their data shows that after a first strike, most people tend to learn their lesson and don't have another strike.
Exactly.
So it's important that that first strike is a little bit punishing.
Mm.
It's not very long, but it's
A
important.
day ban for a gremlin that's a keyboard warrior is a long time. That's a hard hit to take.
That's withdrawal right there.
Yeah.
You have to go outside, touch some grass, have some water.
Not a bad ally.
No.
Gross. I don't see why they'd force them to drink water. They can still just drink whatever they want.
Well, but I imagine when they're glued to the screen, all that's being consumed is something that's fizzy, just like carbon.
Yeah. I drink water when I game. That's because I'm responsible.
Good job, man. We've got a responsible gamer here. Can we get a round of applause for the responsible gamer?
You can get a round
Should
of
make
applause.
A show about you.
Give me 2 seconds.
Feel like the good. No. He's going to soundboard us. You can do it, buddy. Go on. You find that soundboard. That's good, that. That's enough.
Right, we're done.
Yeah, we'll make a show like The Good Doctor, but instead of The Good Doctor, you're the responsible gamer. And it's a pro-social show about playing games in a healthy way.
I like it.
And it's just a live stream of you just playing and occasionally turning to your left, picking up a glass of water, drinking it, and then putting it down and then going back to gaming. It's just that.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, we're going to move on to the next fucking topic.
Why?
Shut up. I can't believe you.
Were you really salty that I just cricketed you?
Yeah, you cricketed me. That's like the highest form of offence in my culture.
Report me then.
Yeah, I'm going to report you to the police for being a serial meanie.
Oh, that's good. That's really funny.
That's good.
Serial meanie.
Well, the only other thing that we found out this week is that Devoted Studios are assisting with the development of Avowed.
Oh, why are they assisting? Is it because Avowed's dead?
Yeah. It's struggling development, dude.
Okay.
They said this on LinkedIn. I think it was LinkedIn. This is just a sneak peek, as the real magic will be revealed in 2024. Devoted Studios is shaping up some of the awe-inspiring assets that bring Avowed to life. The best is yet to come. So, I'm having a quick look on the Devoted Studios website. Who are you? What do you do, eh? Because you don't have a wiki page, and that's troubling because I use wiki for all of my sources.
It's the most reliable
Should I
source.
get a vaccine? Yeah. Should I get a vaccine? Should I trust Elon Musk with my life?
Yes.
Should I invade Area 51? All of these things, the answer
doesn't exist.
I find on Wikipedia. It doesn't exist, really.
Area 51's a myth.
Wow, I'm interested in this either bit or belief. Where's this guy? It's a myth.
Yeah, it doesn't exist, dude. That's all I have to say to it. I have no evidence. I just don't think Area 51 exists.
Are things that you can't see, do they also fall into that category? Like,
yes.
Like, is the Eiffel Tower
my toes?
A myth? Your toes. My stomach, my lower intestine is a myth. Never seen that. It's not there.
Well, you really think there's a experimental government facility for like extraterrestrial stuff and things that we don't understand going on?
Well, it's not just for extraterrestrials, is it? It's just
but it's for like anything. Yeah, but it's for like anything. Yeah, I guess hidden to the public or deemed as a myth. I don't know.
I don't know if it is. I think it's just a normal military facility, but one time everybody was like, a UFO crashed there. And then since then, everyone's been like, what are you hiding? Why is it Area 51? Where are the other areas? Where are the other 50 of them?
It's true. But then if people knew a UFO crashed there, then people would know the location of Area 51. I thought that the location was not known.
It's known.
Oh.
You can't hide anything from the internet these days. That's not doable.
I didn't think Area 51 was. I thought it was just not even known its whereabouts. That was the entire point.
Maybe in like 2003.
Well, of course you can hide stuff from the
switch,
internet.
yeah.
You can wipe images and take stuff off like satellite maps and stuff like that. Especially if the government's trying to hide it.
There was like an organized raid like 2 years ago. Don't you remember?
No. What they
You
find?
weren't there. I was there. Nothing, because there were loads of people with guns.
Oh. Yeah.
And they went, oh shit, yeah, I forgot about this. And they went home.
All we have is rocks. We don't win this one, lads. Let's come back stronger.
Yeah.
Come back stronger next year.
Well, if you've been dying to know the answer to the question that I set out before this tangent about Devoted Studios, they've worked on Five Nights at Freddy's, Spellbreak, Kid Amnesia Exhibition, Palia, Blanco's Block Party, Animal Jam, Magic Craft. There's a few. Some of these are more recognizable than others. For me, Five Nights at Freddy's and Spellbreak. But yeah, support studios. Not uncommon. No biggie. I just think people, and probably us as well, are going to be really surprised at how big Avowed is, because we keep hearing this Outer Worlds comparison, which, to be fair, the devs themselves did make. I just don't think they meant it in terms of scope. This is how big the game is. This is just the structure of the game. It's now like a semi-open world rather than like a big Skyrim open world sort of thing. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's more like the tone of the game and the structure of the game rather than the actual size. Like, it may play similar to Outer Worlds in terms of like, larger scale loaded areas and stuff like that, but then there might be 10 times more, 20 times more than the Outer Worlds. But no, it's it'd be interesting to see what they're working on though, shaping some of the awe-inspiring assets that bring Avowed to life. So does that mean they're just working on like
trees?
Yeah, to me that doesn't scream like gameplay features as opposed to just like maybe,
no, it's not.
Like touching up like and putting their own spin on like like environmental things or like world building or something like that.
Yeah, maybe NPCs, probably stuff out in the world, maybe monsters, whatever, things like that.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation anyway.
Yeah, same. Ditto.
All right, last story for today then. If you're still here, everyone, please remember to hit the like button. Really helps us out. Consider subscribing if you're new here. We do this every goddamn week, and there's evidence. You can check. This is episode 110. I haven't made that up. There is 110. There's 109 other episodes. So just so you know, in case you're thinking I'm a liar, I'm not. So, the fifth and final story, Tim. Xbox is very happy with Tango, apparently, and they're reinvesting back in the studio. Tango Gameworks. Nah, could be a joke.
Really? They're reinvesting in a talented studio that makes good games and has made quite a few back-to-back, very solid, good games.
No, but don't you remember they just lost the hair? What was his name? They just lost Shinji Mikami, didn't they? So Tango clearly is disbanding. Don't you remember?
Yeah, no, I do remember that. Yeah.
So clearly, this is probably an accounting error. Phil said, put all your money into Arcane Austin for Redfall 2. And they've probably just accidentally put that money into Tango.
Yeah. Damn it. We put it into the wrong account.
Not again.
Yeah. It's not surprising
that
they're reinvesting in Tango.
It's coming from Jeff Grubb. Just to source it. It also hit 3 million players this week. Hi-Fi Rush did, I should clarify.
That's cool.
Which is, great. Really, there was a question, I suppose, of how but we spoke about this a while back. I can't remember what it was. That like Hi-Fi hadn't performed very well. Xbox weren't that happy with it, but Jeff has since come out and said that he's heard internally that the team is really happy with Hi-Fi, and now we know they're happy enough to be reinvesting in the studio for whatever is coming next. So, question for you, Tim, is what is next? What would you like to see from Tango with all this big wad of cash from Papa Phil? Hi-Fi 2, Evil Within 3, something new. You know, John Johannes leading the studio, the guy who made Hi-Fi. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's actually really hard to call because Tango as a studio really they fucking bounce all over the place with the games they make. Like it's kind of nuts. Like they've gone from yeah, like you said, they've done Evil Within. They did Ghostwire, right? Yeah, they did Ghostwire.
That's right.
They did, and then they did Hi-Fi Rush. You know, all that. Just like off the top of my head, they're like all just completely different games.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell what sort of direction they're going to go in. I for one would like. I don't know if it. Yeah, I don't know. I think Hi-Fi 2 could be a very real possibility because I feel like it was just such a hit, right? And it's a sort of game which can appeal to the mass audience really easily. You know, like everyone can pick up and play it. You know, it's cute, it's friendly, it's happy. There's some like mascot potential there. You know, like some real good potential with that IP. I would like Evil Within 3, and I feel like with like the whole like acquisition of Bethesda and Tango Gameworks and all that, they always listed like Evil Within, you know, like on the banners they always had like Evil Within up there, all like the big blockbuster games that come with like the studio, like but Bethesda when the acquisition was going through, and it's just like they clearly know that Evil Within are what they're, you know, kind of one of their biggest games they're known for, if not the biggest. And they want to remind people of that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Evil Within 3's cooking in like internally already
For
in
sure.
some aspect. And yeah, it's the sort of game with, you know, a potential like new engine and all that sort of stuff. It's been a while since Evil Within 2 as well. You know, it's a sort of game with you know, with the cash injection, you know, they can make it look really pretty and they can really change a lot with it. And yeah, like I said, I run it on a new engine and stuff like that. So I'm thinking Evil Within 3. I'm vibing with that. I feel like that's going to be their next big budget cash cow injection game from Papa.
And that's
Papa
what you would like as well.
And that's what I would like as well. I'm a big fan of the Evil Within series. They're good.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone there at all. I've never played any of them. You know, I've only really gotten into Tango stuff this year. I played obviously Hi-Fi at the beginning, and then I played Ghostwire about halfway through while it was on Game Pass. And I think Evil Within definitely has the brand power, doesn't it? It has the IP power. Yeah. I'm a bit worried about the mixed quality of the IP, though, to be honest with you. I think the first was a 72, the second being an 80. It's popular beyond the rate, the number for sure. You know, maybe the third one they can kick it up even higher, which would be ideal. There is part of me that thinks now that they've got the technology and the formula down for Hi-Fi, which, you know, settled on an 89, was 90 for so long, and then just dropped down to an 89. I feel like a sequel would be such a slam dunk. I don't know what they would do. I don't know how they would do it, but, you know, really, I think it would be a slam dunk to get it into the low 90s for a sequel. So I think however, it hasn't been very mass appeal. You know, 3 million players is fine, but maybe expected for this sort of game. You know, JRPG, rhythm game, shadow drop. You know, so you know maybe not unexpected. But you factor those things together, I think Hi-Fi 2 is the thing you do if you want a secure critical banger. I think Evil Within 3 is the thing you do if you want a commercial success with a better, probably maybe a riskier critical chance. There's a bit more risk to it, especially with Shinji gone now, because I think he led some of the Evil Withins. or one of them anyway. I can't remember which one John Johannes took over for, but so it's interesting. Will they just do something new? Maybe they'll surprise us and do Ghostwire 2 instead. Fuck all that. We'll do a second Ghostwire.
That seems unlikely. I'm putting my bets on Evil Within 3.
Yeah, I would as well. I'd put my money on Evil Within as the next thing to come out. I think they will eventually undoubtedly do a sequel to Hi-Fi, but
100%. But yeah, I just think the next one, I've got a very strong feeling is Evil Within 3. And I feel like just horror games in general have had a bit of a resurgence recently with all like the RE remakes and stuff like that. And Resident Evil 8 as well. Basically just RE, but like and I feel like Evil Within kind of fits in that category of being like a kind of like a pseudo Resident Evil. But they tend to be a lot more kind of grim, dark, and scary as well. But they're still sort of that third person sort of shooter kind of feel that a lot of RE fans will sort of resonate with as well. So I think it will be a good bet to do Evil Within 3.
Awesome. Well, continued congratulations to the team. I'm glad that Hi-Fi, the play count is still going up. If you've listened to the show, I adore that game. So I hope we do get a sequel at some point. And also, I just hope the studio gets to work on what they want to work on. They've earned it.
Yeah.
And it's not like they played it safe. Hi-Fi was a real rush, and clearly it was enough to put them on the map, not just to the sort of core gamer, but also to Xbox. Xbox has been like, we've got our first Japanese studio, and they nailed it. For the first exclusive game, they fucking nailed it. So here's a big wad of cash. Go do something good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's great that under Xbox's under the Xbox umbrella, they smashed their first game out of the park. It's a lot of confidence in the studio now. And I feel like Xbox would probably just give them that lump of cash and just be like, what do you want to make next? Based on how Tango work, it looks like they like to bounce around on projects and stuff like that. So I feel like because they haven't, visited Evil Within in a while, it's been a long time since the last installment. I feel like it's something they might want to go back to just to change it up rather than just doing a Hi-Fi 2. But 100%. Yeah, it's just a lot of confidence in that studio now, and well deserved, obviously. Yeah,
here for it. Okay, right. Well, we've covered all our stories today. I'm happy to wind down the show, Tim. We're both feeling a bit under the weather, so bit of a shorter show than usual. But we'll be back next week for our final podcast before the release of Starfield, and then it will be an early access, right? Yeah, and then it'll be early access for the show after that. So,
and we say hopefully that likely we're going to fold and get the early access, especially as it'd be quite cool to talk about it as well on the podcast.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So likelihood is your boys are going to fold. Yeah.
Our wallets will be just that little bit lighter.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's been a long build up. It's very, very exciting. I think the whole Xbox community is really rooting for Starfield to do well on the Bethesda team. It could be huge. Like we said, there's not really another game I can think of in the coming future that's going to be as big. Maybe the only thing we missed out was, I think, Fable has a chance to be massive depending on how that shapes up. But,
very true.
A BGS game is kind of on its own level still. So it's a huge moment. It's a good time to be an Xbox fan. Based on what we've heard, things are shaping up well. It sounds very, very exciting, and I'm really thinking this is going to be a damn good video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you there. Yeah, and stay tuned for more Starfield, and let us know your predictions. I want to know everyone's predictions. Because you predicted what, 92? I predicted 90.
I think I don't. You want me to put an exact number?
Yeah, put an exact number. I feel like that's more fun.
Oh God, 89. I'm going to be a pessimist.
Ooh,
89.
that's what I was saying a couple weeks ago, and you were adamant that it might crack the 90s. Okay, all right.
I go back and forth on it every microsecond.
Yeah, I was literally about to say.
I can't do it.
I feel like you literally sent me like 10 messages on WhatsApp in a row. I'm just like, based on all this evidence, I'm going with 92, and now you're like 89.
Yeah, I know. Every time I watch the direct, that's why. Every time I finish the direct, I'm like 90, definitely 90. And then like the further I drift away from that, I'm getting nervous and I feel sick. So 89.
Okay, 89 and 90. So within 1 point of each other, but still very high scores. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right.
All right. See you later, chaps. This will be up on podcast services soon. If you want to reach out to us, find us on Twitter. Links in the description. Other than that, take care of yourselves and enjoy the Starfield hype train.
Enjoy, everyone. Enjoy your Sundays.
Bye.
Bye.